number one, set your goals, figure out where you're going to go, short term, long term. But number two, take the time to identify these potential obstacles, be able to start preparing, be able to start journaling, be able to start writing down, put it in front of you, be able to start speaking positive to yourself. This is my goal. I'm being accountable to it. You say it all the time. Say what you
see, so you see what you say.
Say what you see, so you can see what you say.
Yeah,
that's a huge component of this, is putting that out there.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Zach and I are hanging out today, and we're going to give you some keys to being successful. Zach, one of the things I love about doing these podcasts with you, and just you in general, buddy.
Oh my God. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
Welcome back. It's the first time we've seen you on the podcast this year.
I don't know. Well, I guess so. I guess that is true now that it's 2025. Or if you're seeing this 2027, if you're seeing it for the first time in 2027.
You kind of skipped one. I guess we have leap year or
That's
something.
right. Yeah, it's a leap year. No, dude. Yeah, it's good to be back. Thank you guys for running for a couple weeks there. So good stuff, man.
Hey, it's New Year's. We really have a new you. You have a whole new wheel again.
Yes, again. Yes.
That thing looks like it's rolling a little bit better, so we're definitely excited. But this is all... Today we want to talk about wrapping in that theme, Chris, of this whole new mindset, right? We have New Year's resolutions. I don't know if you have any yet, by the way.
I'm getting there. I got a couple. I'm brewing up.
Tucked away a little bit.
Tucked away.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is so common, and there's a reason why gym memberships, and I don't have the stats for it, just skyrocket through the moon at this time of the year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can sign up for free, pay a penny for your first month. I mean, there's so many different things. And then they basically all drop off by February.
Yeah.
And this tends to be a trend with a lot of folks, but it also to us in the insurance business. When new people I'm going to start an insurance for the first time this year. Or I'm going to set this milestone or this goal, or I'm going to come out 2025 really strong. This is going to be my year of transformation. This is going to be my year of growth. I'm going to take my business to a whole new level. And you have these audacious goals, and you have all of these plans. But the one thing that they don't think about is how they're going to get there. And so today, I really wanted to talk about the idea of overcoming these obstacles and maintaining momentum. Basically, let's prevent the February quit.
I like it.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. And, it's interesting. We have 365 days typically, unless it is a leap year. There's always this cycle of coming back. And that cycle, I think some people come to it if you've been doing something for a period of time where it can do one of two things. One, it's useful for reflection and evaluation and making adjustments.
Yeah.
Or maybe starting something new. On the other, it can be a reminder of why you failed. Like, am I on not just a cycle, but am I on a hamster wheel?
Yeah.
People can feel that way too. So the thing I was going to say, Zach, is I love the way you think strategically and meticulously. And I think this is a very valuable podcast for people if they can pay attention and take some notes, how to get past that February drop off, or, maybe first quarter drop off. Maybe you have a great first quarter, but then somewhere the wheels drop off. And we just want to tell you the truth about the opportunity and being independent business owners. So let's start off here. Let's talk about some of these independent or identifying potential obstacles.
Yeah. Like looking at this, I don't, Chris, honestly, I feel like I've always been this way, and I don't know why, but I'm an overthinker sometimes, right? I think I'm naturally an introverted person, and I think that feeds into me overthinking and kind of planning. But I try to begin with the end in mind, and I almost prepare for the worst and pray for the best in everything I do. And it's kind of came natural to me and I don't know, but it's probably a lot of life experience. A lot of things happen, and then I guess you're kind of gun shy, or we want to almost plan that these obstacles are going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we want to know that, like if I have a goal that I'm setting, that's going to launch this year, this first quarter goal, I need to think of what could possibly happen to me that could take me off my target.
You don't want to be at the end of the year looking at your goals and saying, well, I didn't consider this, whatever that is.
Because of that happened to me, because this was the case, or I had to do this for my family or with my family, or I would have hit it if this event didn't occur. The idea is to try to brainstorm every one of those events, every one of those unforeseen circumstances that could come at you and before it happens. For example, if I have a goal to start the year, my first quarter strong, and let's say I have a production number, let's say I have a number of hours that I want to work, and I can break that down per day and all the way down. I also got to, what if I'm sick for 2 weeks, right? What if I tear an ACL in a men's basketball league, right? What would that setback look like? How would that affect my business? What if somebody else in my family needed something? I mean, there's so many different factors, but looking at these potential obstacles, we have to line that out according to what your goal is and what you accomplish.
Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-license training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
As far as identifying potential obstacles, do we want to roll out some of the big ones that people aren't considering because they're excited about an opportunity? They hear some things.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I think one obvious one that seldom gets airplay in an opportunity is chargebacks. I think that's that can be an obstacle that agents aren't aware of.
Cash flow, especially when you have certain expectations.
Yeah. So you have cash flow and chargebacks. How do you maintain your cash flow, keep moving forward when you do have chargebacks? And you have, of course, there are the coping strategies, but having clear strategies on what that looks like. Just a quick example, because we aren't going to be able to deep dive on all of these, but a quick example is don't spend all your money that's coming in. Pay yourself a salary. Those are simple strategies that you can put in place because you have to stay in business and keep having leads coming in on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do think another one that you mentioned that gets a mention, but it's an idea in the dreaming side. You said it in terms of being sick, but you're sold an idea many times of getting your time back. But you can't take that time back too early. Like people will take their time back early by taking all these trips and they're Instagramming and all this stuff because they had a $30,000 month. But then again, we're talking about spending all the money, but you're also spending all the time. And that's putting you're fighting for the word that's not mentioned so far is you're fighting for that momentum.
Yeah.
And if you're starting out in this first quarter, you just don't have the luxury of shortcutting that.
Yeah, and I want to give you an example that we recently did. We do our coaching call every Thursday at 10:30 Eastern time, which is absolutely a blast. We get to work with agents, and one of them, we were finishing the year, and one of their goals to finish the year strong was to work a certain amount of days, right? And they had, I think, 4 weeks left into the end of the year. They had a goal of working so many number of days. Yeah. And when we walked that through our coaching program, we ended up shifting and changing that goal to a certain number of total hours. And the mindset about that was if our goal was to work X number of days a week, if we have 1 week where we're sick, we've already failed at the goal we set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was our specific goal. Now, what that does is subconsciously, it trains our mind that it's okay that we didn't accomplish what we set out to accomplish, but there was a reason. We're able to validate a failure. We're able to evaluate an unsuccessful, adventure that we took on, and we're training ourselves that that's okay. But if we shift that mindset to, okay, what would those number of days and those number of weeks you had left, what would that translate to hours? Now, what if we just made our total of this many revenue-generating hours until January 1st?
Yeah.
And what that allows us to do is, now when we create our plan for that, we still have a schedule of what we plan to do, but it allows us to have adjustments without compromising our subconscious brain that we won or lost our goal.
Yeah.
So now we know if we can plan for, hey, I'm going to get together around the holidays. Some of my family members may be sick. Yeah, I mean, things get passed around every holiday. Let's say I am out 4 or 5 days. Well, guess what? My number of hours works. Now I can make that up on a Saturday. I can make that up on a Sunday.
Yes.
I can go in a little bit earlier the following week, stay a little bit later.
Yep.
My goal is still accomplishable, and I don't have to compromise or try to find some way to justify that failure.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And in some ways you can almost create your own obstacle.
Exactly.
That really wasn't even an obstacle before. So that's a really good way of addressing that. The other one, I think, if we're identifying them, and we'll move on here in a moment, but is slumps. I mean, you think we talk in terms of getting, starting out getting 3 to 5 applications a week and then getting 5 to 8 and 8 to 12. Like we start to see some progression in the growth, but that's on average, averages that we're looking at. And they're going to be days where you don't get an application. There are going to be weeks. There may be a week where you don't get the applications you were expecting, or the commissions weren't what you thought they were that week, and then you got hit with a chargeback that week. So those are potential obstacles that could be coming your way. And if you don't have a game plan like you've talked about, and I think you've addressed this on the other ones. You can put down, hey, my goal is to have $250,000 of income, and I'm going to commit to this many days of work to get it. But those are those other factors, those dials we can control.
Do you think there's some emotional intelligence that comes into play there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's kind of in the developing the.
Because I know the
strategies.
The longer you're in the business, and I know this was true for you and I both. We can't set our goals and our plan on our record week. Meaning, like, let's say we built up and now we have a double-digit week where we sold over 10 grand or something in that range. Or let's say even you had a really good $8,000 week, selling final expense. You cannot realistically anticipate that, I only sold 8,000 because now I'm good enough. Now I know how to address that objection. And now it just flowed this way, right? There's weather factors in play. There's so many factors that come into play. I'm not going to set to where my new expectation is 8,000 a week. So now I'm working this many days, this many weeks. I'm going to hit this income level. Like we talk about maintaining momentum, and there's a special word in there. Our goal is to overcome challenges, stay consistent. Stay consistent.
Yeah.
Maintaining momentum is to gather it, to accomplish it, to build it, hold on to it, and continue it.
Yeah.
So what is our average? What are we doing? How are we able to do that and continue to move that forward?
So let's talk about some of those strategies. I think one of the things you addressed is that emotional intelligence, and that comes with time. You know, we all know the feeling of writing your first application and how excited you are, you know. And I remember, I think second week I was in the business, I got super excited. I think I was at like $6,000 in 2 days, and I called Roger, and he's like, "Well, where are you headed now?" And I was like, "I'm going home." You know, like I've earned my time off without thinking. You know, the next week I may not get an application, and but that emotional intelligence is, I think it comes with being able to see the full map of what you're trying to accomplish. Were you trying to accomplish getting a couple of days off your second week?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to accomplish a big goal of something that your dream's hanging on or your family's vision is hanging on?
Here's a crazy question, Chris. But whatever your goal is, whatever time frame your goal is, if you knew right now that you would fall short of that goal, if you could see into the future, you fell short of that goal, right? Regardless of the reason, what would you do different now?
I think you and I are wired a little differently. I'm pretty darn stubborn, and I would think that I could change the future. I would show that I could.
Not everybody has a time machine, Chris, right?
Well, you said look into the future. That's what you said. I'm playing by your rules.
So the question...
I would look at it and say, I will change my activity or something
right now
to hit that goal. Yes. There was something that caused me to fail on that. I would do that. I wouldn't change my goal. I guess that's my point.
No, I wouldn't either.
Okay, good.
No. That's what
I would
be
working like double time.
Exactly.
To hit
but
it.
My
Correct.
question is, if your activity would change, why aren't you doing that now?
Yeah.
Why aren't you running as if you already missed that goal into the future?
He is so intense, Adam. Like, I think he's talking to me. So I have to go out now. I have to leave.
You can't leave.
Go right.
You can't leave.
You are so intense.
But how many of us, wherever you are, wherever you're listening right now, how many of you all have a goal that you have set, maybe January 1st when that ball dropped, this is what I'm doing. You told your spouse, you told your best friend, you told whoever, this is what I'm going to accomplish this year. And if you could look forward and all of a sudden it's approaching that year, it's approaching that goal, or you hit it, you miss that carrier incentive trip by 4,000. They only take the top 10 or they only take the top 50, but you landed in number 11 or you landed in number 51. What would you have done different? And this all goes in that concept, Chris, that you just talked about of, hey, I wrote $6,000, I'm going home. Why don't you bank some of that? Because there is something coming. We just have no idea what it is.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But there's a reason why you didn't hit it. There's a reason you fell to 51 or 11, right?
Yeah.
If you knew that, what would you do different? If you say, just like you did, oh, I would do double the activity now. I would turn this up. I would be more intentional there. I would do one more door knock. I would do 2 more phone calls. I would do whatever it took. There is something coming.
Yeah. Do it now.
Why are you not doing it now?
Yeah. That's the emotional intelligence part of it. And not banking too much emotion on the wins and the losses. The tough truth of it is, Zach, based on what you just said, the right question is why not? What you just said. So to answer your question, why not do it?
Yeah.
Right. If that's true and you really want that, then why not do the activity?
And I think this is what it talks about when we talk about coping strategies. How do we plan for this? How do we prepare for this? What can we do? Number one is take a moment and be aware, right? Number one, set your goals, figure out where you're going to go, short term, long term. But number two, take the time to identify these potential obstacles. And that is an exercise in itself that is coping. But be able to start preparing, be able to start journaling, be able to start writing down, put it in front of you, be able to start speaking positive to yourself is a huge one.
Yeah.
Is a huge one. This is my goal. I'm being accountable to it. You say it all the time. Say what you
see, so you see what you say.
Say what you see, so you can see what you say.
Yeah.
That's a huge component of this, is putting that out there.
And there are two questions you can ask yourself now, just to be very honest with yourself. What do I really want? And that's the picture of what you're trying to accomplish. And it's usually more than money. It's a feeling of what you have. And the other part of it is, or what you will have, and for the purpose you're going to have it. Okay. The next question, am I willing to do the work? Am I willing to do that work? And if you say yes to that, maybe another question is, and if there's a scope of looking at your past and looking at the past work that you've done, am I the person who can commit to doing that work? And maybe not yet, but I will be. And these are the changes I'm going to make. Like, this is the real stuff of being successful. Like, you have to look inside. You have to make some changes. You have to rewire your brain and build emotional intelligence stamina. Like, that is a workout for you. Maybe for the first time it is for me, you know, building that.
And I'll go back to my story, and it's that subconscious brain of, stop telling yourself you would have hit it but this. Like, be accountable. Like, have self-discipline to be able to tell yourself the truth, even if you don't want to tell it to anybody else. Sit in a corner, write it down, whisper to yourself, hey, you didn't do that.
You tend to do this.
Yeah.
Whisper that to yourself. You tend to be lazy. If that's true, say it.
And that brings us to our other point we have here, Chris, is to stay accountable.
Yeah.
And the question is, to who and for what?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Number one, we have to stay accountable to ourselves. Now, that's probably the hardest, because we do have this little person on our shoulder that's telling us it's okay, we can do this, we can do that.
It's kind of like you're the kid and the parent.
Yeah.
You know, the little kid who's coming up, can I stay up late? Can I watch another movie? And you're the parent. You know?
Can I have another sweet treat?
Yeah. And you're the parent. No, man, you got to go to bed. You're talking to yourself. That's the weird thing.
So the second one of that is stay accountable to your family and your why, right?
Yeah.
Hold true to that.
Yeah.
I think we also need to stay accountable to a friend, a partner.
I would say your community.
Yeah. That would be
I think a lot of people in this business find themselves working alongside of other people. And if the vision is true, which I believe it is, where, you know, you can make $600,000 writing simple business, or you can build teams, however you want to build your vision, you can, then you aren't just fighting for yourself to do it, you're fighting for them to do it as well.
I want to be clear on that, Chris, because you can kind of put that out there a little bit in your community, but you have to be intentional with it.
Right.
And they always say, like, find an accountability partner, right? I don't necessarily believe in a accountability partner, because why not have multiple accountability partners?
Yeah.
Why confide that in one person? Because that one person could enable you a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to the person that you're most comfortable with.
Exactly. But if you have it to two or more people, you're dealing with different personalities, different perspectives, different life experiences, and one may not give you the same answer as the other one.
Yeah, pat on the back or a foot in the butt.
Exactly. Yeah. So what possible, if you're actually going to have accountability partners, for one simple goal, to keep you accountable to what you say that you want to accomplish.
To what you said.
Originally, which means you need somebody to hold the mirror up to you when you're trying to deceive yourself.
Yes.
And that always can't be accomplished on one,
and you
because
will.
of relationship dynamics.
You will try to deceive yourself.
100%.
For sure. And you mentioned something. I want to talk about that accountability piece, because I want to talk about the slump a little bit. You said intention. I actually wrote the word intention down, and being intentional. Okay. And I'm talking about the sales activity here. Specifically in the slump, what I see happen generally is agents are doing the work, but they're going through the motions because it's a repetitive piece of business that they're doing. You know, the same script, the same conversations. You know the people, you know what they're going to say. You get into that rhythm.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, your numbers are going down, and you don't realize that you lost your intention, and your tone isn't quite the same, and your belief's not the same.
Yep.
But the only way to get out of that is to get out of the echo chamber and connect to your accountability group.
Yep.
That's where the community piece comes in, because otherwise you don't know what levers need to be pulled or dials need to be turned.
I think that's absolutely perfect. And I would even like to add a tiny bit to that, which is celebrating your small wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. Sometimes we can set audacious goals. And sometimes what that does is it creates a tunnel vision or a hyper focus on this year's team's championship or bust.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when it's the first game of the season or the first month of the year, that can be very hard. And you're weighing everything on you have to be perfect, not only now, but throughout the entire journey. And we forget to celebrate and reward ourselves so we don't get into that mundane, so we don't fall into that routine, so we don't fall into that fog of motivation and my why and my goal seems so far away. Celebrate yourself when you have a good week. Celebrate yourself when you have a really good activity week, but the results maybe don't line up. The results are going to be what they are. If you want to maintain momentum, you have to maintain and stay consistent on all the other things that got you there, which is your attitude, which is your activity, which is your association, which is the same number of dollars, regardless if you hit 6,000 in 2 days and not driving home or not hanging up the phone and going outside and play. It's having that same mental activity, the same physical activity, the same everything, regardless of the result.
I like it. Celebrating small wins. I know you've always been really, really strong on that. And it may be a number of dials that you're going to do for the day, or it is the hours that you're going to work that you've committed to. You can celebrate that, staying on the call longer than 2 minutes. Yay, let's celebrate, especially if you're new, you know? So that's good stuff. And then finally, I do like this idea of goal setting, but what happens at the end when you do look at it and you didn't hit it, even if you went through all the scenarios, like, I always joke with you that you're Doctor Strange looking for that one moment in the Avengers movie. But if it doesn't work out the way you thought it would at the timeline that you thought it would, what's left? What do you do with that? Did you fail?
You're trying to make this podcast go on a really long time. No, you don't fail.
Yeah.
You do not fail.
Okay.
You don't fail because you don't quit.
Okay. So at this point, you would look at it?
We reflect, right?
Yeah.
We reflect, we reassess. That's the whole idea here is we're able to, I'm a sports guy. You go watch film.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because when you're in the moment, you don't see that you moved a certain way. If you're a quarterback and you go back and watch film, you didn't see the defense the right way. You didn't read the cornerback. You didn't see the guy coming across the middle field that would have won the game because he was wide open, right?
Yeah.
You go back to watch film and it gives you a different perspective of the same play that happened.
Yeah.
And that is eye-opening because sometimes, and it happens to me, I admit a lot, Chris, is sometimes we feel that our perspective is the only one. And it's true and it's reality, which it is for us.
Right.
But that doesn't make it true for the situation or the goal or what actually occurred and happened. So when you're able to do that and look at different ways or ask somebody to debrief with you at the end of the day or end of the week, you can talk about the situation, the sit, the objection you got, what happened. You can send them the recording and listen, reflect, go on. What was my mood that day? What other things happened in my life that day that unintentionally could have played a role in my patience or my connectivity or my mood, or I have a headache because I had dealing with kids with sinus issues and I've been draining all day, didn't get much sleep. And there's so many factors that go into play. But the important thing is to reflect and reassess with honesty to yourself, not with creating excuses and reasons of why you weren't able to be successful.
And then make those adjustments.
And make those adjustments.
Your life will change.
100%. I
So-
was always told this one thing, Chris. You should never miss the same shot the same way twice. Ever, regardless of what it is. If you miss one short, you shoot a free throw and you miss one short, you better not miss the second one short.
Yeah.
If so, what are you doing? Right?
At some point, it's going to go in. don't hit it off the backboard too hard. Like it's narrowing the
The
circle
things
down.
you tell yourself.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Just to recap, this overcoming obstacles and maintaining momentum, capturing and maintaining momentum. Just identify potential obstacles, develop coping strategies, staying accountable to you, your vision, what you're trying to accomplish, your family, and your community. Celebrate those small wins.
Yes.
And then finally, reflect and reassess and make the adjustment. That's it.
You know the gift of this, Chris? The gift of this. If you plan for all these things to happen and they don't happen,
Oh, man, you had a year.
yeah, instead of being number 9 and qualifying, you're number 1.
Boom, let's do it.
So
Let's go. Go be number 1, gang. What are you doing? You're still listening to the podcast. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And please, if you got anything out of this, maybe one little nugget, please post in the conversation below. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your grandma. Say, Granny, listen to these guys. They're amazing. Tell your friends, your family. Show us in your church small groups. All right. Anyway, thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next Life Insurance Academy podcast.